Pat, congratulations first of all. Rohit was here, of course, before you, and he just said that one match final it should not be the ideal case in the next WTC cycle scenario. What is your take on that?
I think it's fine. No qualms. I think ideally you'd have a 50 match series, but Olympics have come down to one race to win a gold medal. AFL, NRL seasons have finals. It's sport.
Pat, does it feel like more like a culmination of a journey for you, considering there were those three subcontinental tours in addition to the two home summers? So you won in different places before winning it in England.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the most satisfying bits. Obviously, the win here, but to make it to the final, you've got to win everywhere in the world. So I think this cycle was 20 test matches. I think we might have only lost 3 or 4 out of the 20. The boys were fantastic the whole way through. We adapted well, and that's what makes it so satisfying.
Just one more. From a fast bowling perspective, what was your take on the Scott Boland spell to Virat Kohli? How much did you enjoy it, and what did you make of it?
Well, I feel like we're starting to become too used to Scotty Boland just doing that. He just keeps finding another level, doesn't he? He's unbelievable. He was just our best bowler all game. Held it together, didn't go for many runs, always looked threatening. And, to get, 2 wickets in a row was, I think, just reward for how well he bowled throughout the whole game.
Pat, this match has sort of existed in this weird duality where the culmination of 2 years, a huge match in its own right, and the only test that you'll be playing before what's to come next. So how have you sort of dealt with the duality of that, and then how do you feel this has been essentially as the only match as preparation?
The last couple of months, our preparation has been preparing for 6 test matches over here. I think once we've got closer in the last week or two, you zero in on that first game. So that's been the focus, getting used to the conditions over here, looking at India as an opponent, knowing that we've got, 4 or 5 days before we switch our attention across to England. So, we've seen it as one big tour with 2 huge titles to play for, and good to tick the first one off.
Pat, just to follow up on Scott Boland, is he now undroppable? And was moving Mitch to first change in the second innings anything about looking at how you might do things a bit differently come the Ashes?
I don't think I'd look too much into that. We did that last Ashes series as well. We chop and change the opening bowlers depending on gut feel. The ball moves a little bit differently to, say, a Kookaburra. It might swing a bit more after a few overs rather than the first couple. And in terms of Scotty, I'm sure he'll play a huge role in the Ashes, but we'll see how it plays out.
Pat, you said at the toss that you would have bowled first when Rohit also bowled first. Is that a kind of different thing now in England, playing earlier in the summer potentially? Can you just kind of explain the reasons behind teams maybe wanting to bowl first and whether it's something you're looking at for the Ashes as well?
This one was a little bit trickier because there hasn't been a test match played in June, so the wickets have always been a bit, a couple of months further into the summer. Now, I think the question you always ask yourself is it going to be easier to bat kind of first innings or fourth innings? That's mainly the decision. So I think both teams thought you're probably more chance to get 10 wickets in the first, on that first day than fourth innings. How it played out, would it change it? Honestly, don't know. But I think that's the main question you keep asking yourself. If the overheads in your conditions, there's a bit in it at day one, and you feel like you're going to take 10 wickets. You just go for it, and there's no. I think the stigma around bowling first and not bowling them out has gone a bit, as opposed to in the past.
Pat, you've won or been part of a one-day World Cup squad that won a World Cup. You've won a T20 World Cup. You've now won this. Given you guys see Test cricket as the biggest and most important format of the game, does this make this the biggest achievement by an Australian team that you've been in over the past 10 years or so?
Yeah, it's a hard one. They all feel a little bit different. We're just talking about that. No doubt, Test matches for us are our favourite format. It's the biggest challenge, I think, in every way. And this competition pitting up against everyone in the world, it's got to be right up there. I don't know. It's probably like trying to pick your favourite kids, but it's satisfying.
Pat, in about 6 weeks' time, we'll all be back here at the Oval, and it'll all be over. If you could be standing up there and with another trophy and an Ashes urn in your hand, does it feel like that'll be a career-defining, a legacy-defining summer for you?
Yeah, I'd say whether we like it or not, Ashes tend to define, eras and teams. I think the great thing about this final is we feel like we've played awesome cricket for the last 2 years, and being there at the end holding the trophy feels really well deserved. So that's great for our team, and in a way, Ashes, they're bloody hard to win. I think it's been 20 odd years, so it's not going to be easy. But if we were to win it, that is legacy defining stuff. Yeah.
The games come thick and fast, and do you feel after this win that you'll enter Friday in the perfect sort of frame of mind in terms of the way you played and the confidence you would have taken from this win?
Yeah, I hope so. I think everyone played their role in this game at different parts. Plenty of the batters faced quite a few balls. I think by the end of the game, all us bowlers felt like we'd hit a rhythm. I feel like we're that good balance of feeling like we're ready to go, but also fresh and ready for 5 tests.
There was a huge support for Team India here. You were not playing against the 11. The crowd was like the 12th man. So how difficult was it with that kind of support for Team India?
We're used to it. We've played India a lot, and wherever you play India in the world, they seem to have plenty of fans that are very vocal. So it was great, to have basically a sellout every single day. That's what we want for a Test match final. So I had a great feeling to it, and it didn't really affect us too much, but it was a good buzz.
But India started the chase very confidently. Were you worried at any point of time, or maybe just today when Virat was batting?
I wouldn't say worried. We had 430 odd on the board declared. We felt like that was enough. I think the new ball period was always going to be kind of the one that you had to watch out for. Just the rock hard ball can ping around the field a little bit. But no, I think taking kind of constant wickets always felt like we were in control. And we saw this morning, still felt like the wicket had a little bit in us for us quick bowlers.
But the art of defence in modern Test batting is a dying art, possibly. I don't know whether you agree or disagree. Could you talk about what is the kind of chat you have in Australian dressing room? The likes of Steve Smith, the way he played this innings. I mean, Travis Head did win the player of the match, but Smith also equally played a very important innings and stayed for a long time at the crease. How important is defence in batting? And does it, as a bowler, is it easier for you to plan against batters who are always looking for runs?
I think your goal as a batter is to try and score runs. So everyone goes about it slightly differently. I don't think there's a blanket rule on the correct way to go about it. For Smithy to average 60, maybe he needs to strike at 50. For Trav Head to average 50 or 60 like he has in the last couple of years, well, maybe his strike rate's 80. And I think there's no right or wrong. Everyone has their own method, and you just got to back that in. But there's no doubt, if the batter's in control of his game and in command of what he's trying to do, whether he's defending or scoring runs, he's asking tough questions of the bowler and the captain.
Pat, probably a little bit early to be thinking of the next World Test Championship final, but does this sort of feel like this tour feel like the end of a natural cycle for some guys who are getting to the autumn of their careers? And when do you start planning for what a team would look like, the team that you want to shape for the next tilt at an event like this?
I haven't given that any thought. Sorry, Rambo. I've always said if a team member's 18 or 38 and still is in our best 11, I want them picked. So, I don't think I think there'll be natural progression. So I don't think there'll be us kicking anyone out, outside of the team, or pushing anyone out of the team that, prematurely.
Mitch Starc went at more than 5 and over, and there were times when he looked like he was clearly struggling. Given that you've got Bazball coming up, how do you feel about the runs that he tends to concede?
Yeah, all good. I thought Starkey bowled well, particularly today. Did a role for us that we kind of know Starkey can do after 80 Test matches. I think I was probably the biggest culprit at times, being a little bit sloppy, not quite as slick as we normally are. But I thought today everyone brought it together and everyone's in a really good place. So no, I thought again his runs. We would talk about Mitchell Starc, the bowler, but he always contributes with the bat as well. So he's got a huge tour ahead of him. Play a huge role for us. English side sets up slightly different as well. There's a few more left-handers. The wicket's going to be a bit different. So really happy with where Starc is.
Given how well this team's gone in this game, is it going to be hard to change for the next test?
We'll see. Yeah, we'll have a sit down and map it out over the few days. And work out the best way.
Yeah, Pat. So this was a showpiece event for Test cricket, and yet we lost nearly an average of 10 overs a day, just weren't bowled. And the crowd are paying nearly $200 to come and see it. What effort should be made by the umpires and the captains to make sure we get a full day of 90 overs?
Yeah, it's disappointing we didn't get as many overs in as you'd like. The good thing is, we've still got a result. To be frank, there aren't many levers that can be pulled within the current rules to basically entice anyone to bowl quickly. So maybe it's something that needs to be revisited. There's lots of stoppages in play for bandaging up fingers and those kind of things over the last few days. Fortunately it didn't affect the result in the end, but ideally you're bowling 90 overs in a day.
Pat, fantastic achievement, great performance over 5 days. How are you planning to celebrate, and are you really celebrating given the fact that you're straight into something else?
I think we'll sit around the change rooms for a while, and then we'll find a nice sunny English beer garden somewhere probably this afternoon to sit back and celebrate. It's been an amazing 2 years. We've had this final in the diary for a while. It's been something that we've been building up for, so it's something we're going to savour. I know we've got a big series, but we can worry about that in a couple of days' time. I think you only get a few of these moments in your career where you can sit back, acknowledge a pretty special achievement, and that's one of these times.
So you've basically got this afternoon, and then tomorrow you flick a switch and you're on to the next thing.
We'll see. Yeah.
Whenever it is that you do start looking more at it, just for yourself, will there be a bit of work in the nets on the front foot?
Yeah, it wasn't at my best with the front foot this game. Rhythm felt really good, just kept overstepping, which I don't normally do, so I'm not overly worried. Today I felt like I was pretty consistent. I'll get it sorted before whenever the first test is, a few days.
Pat, Cameron Green sort of brushed it off, but how did you view the treatment of him from the crowd in particular over the catch yesterday?
Passionate fans, but I thought it was a fair catch. Greenie was an absolute screamer, and obviously we're just players. We're out in the field, so we leave it in the umpire's hands. And personally, probably the best umpire in the world. He knows the rule books. He's seeing every angle. I'd probably back his decision more so than emotional, passionate fans that are looking on a big screen from 100 metres away.
Pat, could you give us a read on how Josh Hazelwood's travelling and how the rest of you guys came through this game, given the heavy schedule that's ahead?
Yeah, we'll have a look at everyone over the next couple of days, but I don't think there's any red flags at all. We all bowled kind of maybe 30 odd overs, so not super heavy. So all feeling great. Joshy's in a really good position, so he'll be available for selection next week. I think he's had 2 spells out there today and feeling great. So he's got quite a bit of work behind him, and his body's feeling good. Thanks.